Folks, welcome back. How's everybody doing? So, Q&A from you all in the public. And time to do a nice little flesh and blood update. Been kind of watching the market, watching all the chatter on the old social media, all the smart people that live on the keyboard warrior side. And today we're going to start taking a look at what's going on here. So, unless you guys been living under a rock, high seas, huh? Boy, is there a lot to talk about here. So first thing, I guess we're going to start with the obvious. I knew something was going on because in the last couple days, I've been dealing with the Pokemon launch. And we have the Flesh and Blood release, High Seas, coming in 2 weeks, which means I haven't sold any or done any pre-orders or done anything yet. But I've just been kind of watching everybody. And I knew some data started to come out because all of a sudden I started getting all these messages from you guys, the public, started getting emails, started getting patron messages, started hearing all kinds of chatter. People started linking me into videos. This is the last straw. I'm quitting Flesh and Blood forever. Here's someone else, Rudy. Hey man, privately, will you just sell me extra cases of High Seas at a higher price and just say you got less? What? And then, all of a sudden, the last 24 hours, I started getting messages saying, Rudy, how do you feel that we've got some good reprints, some codexes and nice legendary reprints that were expensive and, playable and strong majestics and legendaries and blah, blah, blah. And can we talk about the Golden Treasure Hunt packs? Are you going to talk about the Gem Keeper Season 2 puzzle? Are you going to talk about the biggest news of all, which is I am hearing rumors. I have not personally seen the card, but I am hearing rumors that this is the first Flesh and Blood set. The Fabled card is considered highly playable. And that has led to my email getting blown up of, Rudy, what do you think? Have you talked to LSS? Have you talked to James? Have you had dinner with the family? What's going on? Can you believe they're doing this? This is the last straw for me. How am I supposed to have cheap cards? So boy, are we seeing a lot. Boy, I tell you what. We went years and years of very, very cheap Flesh and Blood sets. I've offered, I've purchased, I've never skipped a Flesh and Blood set. From original to 2.0 to Uprising, all the way through, even Bright Lights, everybody. I never skipped, I never not paid for it. I never not offered a Flesh and Blood set since the beginning. From day one, I told you all the same thing I'm going to tell James from 2018, before the game even existed to you all, to the same thing I tell the employees, the same thing I tell all of you. I will be a part of Flesh and Blood until the end. Either the game is incredibly successful and the company doesn't want me a part of it, or the game fails in 159 years from now. I am going to carry every set. I told you all, I stay the course, and I do that attitude with everything in life. And now, for the first time in many years, I'm not going to lie. This is the first time that the jitteriness in behavior feels like almost 2020. Now, I'm not sure how good or bad that is right now because we don't have enough data. People are calling this, Rudy, this is the first time I've seen this much hype and excitement around a Flesh and Blood set since the Monarch. Well, for those of you who like to compare and contrast every little, pattern in life, this is nothing like Monarch. The whole Mon to 1K, the internet, people preaching that, pushing that, and podcasts and discussions, that was a different era. A lot of people truly believed it. A lot of people were skeptical. A lot of people like me just sold the product. A lot of other people from years ago who aren't a part of this, well, they lied and they didn't sell the product. A lot of very stupid people, like me, turned around and bought a bunch of Monarch from you guys for $200 a box. And the show goes on. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. And today, boy, there's just so much to unpack with the high C situation. There is definitely a genuine jittery, frenzy, FOMO, aggressive behavior towards this new flesh. We saw it with the Hunted. I saw signs of it in Heavy Hitters and Misty. In Rosetta. I was like, wow, we're really moving up here. Things are, the player base, the excitement, this is really cool. But then when the Hunted hit, after we came through three, Heavy Hitters, Misty, and Rosetta, the Hunted hit. And the biggest thing I can tell you guys is, LSS is not fucking around with these print runs. They're not fucking around with their cards. They're not fucking around with the artwork. And they're not fucking around with the card prices, the print runs. Like, they are being balls serious with this. And I am like, this is an interesting thing. This is more, I don't know when specifically and how all this unfolded. I will tell you all one piece of private information between me and James. Okay, and that is, I messaged him saying something clearly changed at LSS. I don't know when, I don't know how, but it feels different. And the only thing I know is he told me there was a shakeup and some changes at the high-level people around him. That's about as detailed as I have, and honestly, I don't need names. It's not my business. Clearly, they made the decisions they felt were right. So that's the only thing I can tell you. It's not really that helpful to anybody, but I can tell you it lines up with this this massive change. Like, the design doesn't feel that different with, like, the cards, the art, the style. And again, I'm not a tier 1 fab net deck hardcore organized play competitive player. I'm not. I literally know the basics of how to play Flesh and Blood. I barely know the basics of how to play Pokemon. I just being honest with you guys, I can barely play a basic game of Weiss. I'm just being honest with you guys that, from what I've heard from you all, the power level, strain, all these different things doesn't feel that extremely different. But the print run size, the tightening, the chase cards, and the collectability side, from you all's feedback, has been told to me that it feels very different. So, are we ready to get into some of the Q&A and fun things with you guys? So what should we do here? Let's start with the prices, okay? So yes, MSRP and prices of the boxes have gone up. And, well, anybody notice the whole conversation about map pricing? Nobody gives a fuck anymore because, buying it MSRP, you guys' favorite manufacturer suggested the retail penis. But, look, the market is so strong now, it's the opposite. The conversation, the enforcement, the need of monitoring, the MSRP conversation is gone in Flesh and Blood. It's not coming back. If you think you have a price memory of, I'm not going to buy the Hunted, I'm not going to buy Rosetta, Rudy, I'm not even going to buy high C's because you're going to rip everyone off. I want MSRP only. And yeah, you're right. There were times the markets were bad. The economy, the situations, the inflation, the United States. I can't speak for the countries. I know Flesh and Blood has the expansion with Japan and Japanese language and everything. But I can speak for the United States. That's all I know. I'm not going to pretend to know other markets that I don't. And yeah, there were times in 2023 that markets were shitty and tough. Now, ask anybody, ask any patron, ask anyone at LSS. I never said, hey, you know what? I don't want any product. I'm not going to sell it. That never happened. Now, for a lot of stores out there, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I would say 20 to 40% of all stores that carried Flesh and Blood. I'm not going to say they dropped Flesh and Blood and they were angry about it. But they reduced their orders because they were frustrated. The sealed product in the United States wasn't selling, or the matte pricing, or local. Whatever their reason was is indifferent. But yes, stores were cutting their orders. And yes, many stores started skipping or dropped Flesh and Blood in the United States. That's not Rudy's opinion. That's not me trying to make you guys happy or sad or manipulate your ex-girlfriend. I'm just telling you, this is, ask a distributor. Go online. Just, ask questions. This isn't a secret. But now, the company said, okay, well, the difference between someone successful long-term and someone who's just a Timmy or just straight up a dumbass is that when things don't work or they're less than ideal, most people say, you know what? Let's pivot. Let's make a change. The market just doesn't seem healthy over here. People are frustrated, the boxes or, people. So what happened? The company focused on the good things. They made adjustments on things from what you all heard and what I said and what everybody said on the internet, and the company's pivoted. Now, a lot of you are going to argue that, well, Rudy, I'm not going to be a part of Flesh and Blood because these cards are too expensive. If I can't have my cheap... I'm sorry, I can't hear you guys in the back room. What is it? Get Sally. Get Billy. Where's Jason? Where's Debbie? Game pieces. Thank you, Debbie. If I can't have my cheap cards, how is this game supposed to survive? I'm out. This is ridiculous. So now we are seeing an extreme opposite market reaction. We are seeing a tremendous internet social media pushback of threatening to quit the game. I'm not going to be a pro player. I'm not going to be a competitive, organized player anymore. I'm just not doing this. This is absurd. Now remember, folks, when you read that online, just like every other card game in the world, it does not represent the majority of people who like Flesh and Blood. You can hate me. You can be angry at the company. You can be angry because James's hair is so damn fucking cool looking. You can be angry because the prices are high. You can be angry for any reason you want. But when you go online, just remember, folks, do not underestimate the silent majority that's not screeching on social media, everybody. Okay? And the reason I'm saying this is now, this leads me to the next conversation. The data, the pre-orders, the demand, distributors, the frustrations, the stores getting cut. There are stores getting 0 high Cs. There are stores. I had a patron who's a store of mine. Been like a 5 in like Rudy. I usually got 120 boxes of every Flesh and Blood set. 30 cases. And he's like, we're getting 20 boxes. I got cut like 80%. And he goes, I don't know what's going on. I can't get the product. Everybody's fighting for it. Then I called my rep at, I don't know, Southern or Peach State or whatever. And, and they said, oh, well, suddenly out of nowhere, a bunch of stores who haven't ordered Flesh and Blood, everybody ordered it. It's a Pokemon situation. When the market turns, suddenly the people who never wanted anything to do with it are all over here saying, please, sir, please, may I have another? May I please have some product? And then these people get angry because they can't get the product. And I'm going to turn around, look at you and say, so where the fuck were you the last 6 sets? So what, because now you can just flip it for quick money? You want to come back to Flesh and Blood and act angry because you can't just get a pallet of Flesh and Blood? So does that what? So does that make the company wrong for not overprinting it? Are you going to be angry at your distributor for filling the other stores that have been ordering every single set and have supported the game for 5.5 years? Like, you have to take everything in context. When you read things online, yes, and by the way, yes, folks, this is me. What do you guys use the term for? What do I? God, I need to get better at this. This is me sticking up. What's it called when you stick up for another company? Am I? God, I need to like. I'm like defending the Flesh and Blood LSS. So what does that mean? Am I gatekeeping? No. Am I manipulating? No. White knighting. Am I white knighting? Is that fuck? What's the term? Am I just being racist? No. Am I pumping and dumping? Fuck, I don't fucking know. This is me telling you all, I'm watching what's going on. And the only reason everybody's so wound up with high Cs is because everybody has a lot of passion. And a lot of people who don't care about Flesh and Blood suddenly are just angry because the market's so hot they can't get product. And I encourage you all to turn around, and the people who are so angry, if they're a store owner, of course, not talking about someone just buying. If the store owner is posting online and bashing Flesh and Blood, I encourage you to ask them, did you order a bunch of boxes for Outsiders, Bright Lights? Were you here? Were you around? Did you still order pallets of the other sets? Or are you just upset because now you go online and you see the prices going crazy, there's none left, everybody's fighting for it, and now you're frustrated because you can't have free money? My question to you is, I don't think it's right for someone to just skip many sets and then just say, oh, well, now it's hot, and I can't get a pallet on the one hot set. When you didn't support the game on every other set, you weren't there in the ups and downs. That's my attitude. So moving on. Enough Rudy ranting. And some of you all understand, some of you will just be angry, and you know what? Everybody deserves a mouth hug. Next thing, prices. So everybody's blowing me up now because they know I don't do pre-orders in advance. I don't do short-term loans. I don't leverage anything. I haven't sold a single box of High Seas. And everybody knows, because I can tell by the messages. Rudy, I was on the MySpace group, or the social media, Facebook, Reddit, Discord group, and everybody's talking about it, and what's going on? So first, let's go through a few things that you guys are blowing me up on. Number one, no. The rumors that, let's get number one out of the way. Yes, the rumors of me cutting down to a box per order or doing something where we had to allocate tight like Monarch back in the day are false. Patrons, I am still selling it by the sealed case because this is what you all have told me you prefer over the last 5 years, because you like the idea of being able to open it, keep a sealed case, open a box. Maybe you want to flip a box. Maybe you want to keep one. Maybe you want to draft one. And of course, the pool rates, it is preferred from my experience that you guys want a sealed case. So number one, yes, me selling High Seas, it is still going to be by the sealed case. That is not changing. Number two, well, Rudy, I'm hearing rumors now that with the box prices, there are sold listings online of individual boxes of High Seas at 160s, 170s, 180s plus tax. So individual boxes pumping all the way up. So Rudy, are you going to raise your price to $800, $900, or $1,000, some outrageous shit? No. Once again, those are not real. Those are people who are most likely old patrons, ex-people that have been banned. They're all full of shit. I'm sorry, that's not true. But no, I am not going to be selling the boxes at fire sale map, and we are going to have to lower the quantity down to either limit one or two. Based on the next 48 hours and kind of looking at the comments of this video and kind of getting a feel for everybody, we may have to cut further and literally just do limit one, and that's it. And, well, if things get crazier from there, well, the people who try to slip into the Patreon account to buy one thing, close their account, we may have to make further adjustments and sort the orders and do things. We have to see how things unfold. I don't think it's going to be that necessary. As long as we keep the limit of like one or two, it should be fine. But I'm sorry, you guys are asking me over and over. Some of you guys have messaged me privately saying, can I buy 4 kits, Rudy? I will even pay you extra. I will pay you over asking price. It's not about that right now, folks. There are patrons, there are people who bought every single Flesh and Blood release, and it's not fair that someone else comes along and privately pays me extra money over the asking price just to take additional supply, which means I'm going to run out sooner, and people who may have stuck with me can't get the product. Now, when it comes to Magic or Pokemon, if you want a Magic collector box of Final Fantasy, there's nothing I can do. When there's a Pokemon thing, there's just nothing you can do. But in this situation, when I have the product, and again, we're doing our same, patron kits with the promo, we're doing everything. No, we're not going to unload blocks of it privately off the books or quietly at a higher price. It will remain the same and fair. I do not expect it to instantly blow out or oversell because of the fact that we're going to just be, we're not going to allow large orders. It is what it is, folks. So, no, the rumors of jacking the price up and going up to these, people are telling me, Rudy, I heard you're going to go to like $750. I had a couple people send me a message saying, Rudy's going to be $800. Folks, it's not going to be any of that. It's not even going to be in the $700. It's not going to be any of this stuff. Like, what? The original plan, like I told you guys, I mean, and I know MSRP and the prices have gone up. I am aware of that. The MAT pricing is higher. The MSRP, for those of you obsessed with that, I understand it's not what it was a couple years ago. But even then, like even if you just take, I don't even know, what's a case? $500-600? But yes, we are doing the graded PCG promo. It is cold foil. It is full art extended cold foil. We are grading the card. You're also getting that in there. In addition to that promo and cold foil, you're getting an additional special thing, and that is going to be a special Rudy cold foil puzzle piece thing. We have them in stock. I haven't revealed anything yet. I'm still deciding how I want to slowly reveal this kind of stuff. And yes, they are going to be included with it. No, you're not going to get the rarest piece, and no, you're not going to understand what to do with it. That's the point of it right now. I want to see how people react and try to trade and buy or sell with each other. I want to see how everybody just handles it. So we're going to randomly, you're going to get cold foil puzzle. You're going to get cold foil Rudy puzzle pieces. They are cards. They are double-sided. They are fucking beautiful. They're cold foil, like Marvel kind of thing. And yeah, so not only are you getting sealed cases of high Cs, but not only are you getting the PCG graded cold foil special card, yeah, you're getting, like, it's a lot going on. Which is why, with all of a sudden now this whole not-so-blitz craziness with emotions and the prices, because nobody expected it. This is how markets work. The greatest swings and the greatest shocks to a system happen when people aren't ready for it. When the public gives up, or thinks there's no chance, or thinks the company is shitty, or thinks, oh look, management doesn't know what they're doing. When this happens, we see it on Wall Street all the time. When these things happen, you have very aggressive, very violent moves in the market, which means some people are going to make a lot of money, some people are going to be frustrated, lose a lot of money, and I guarantee you, you know what's going to happen next? Going in the next 2 weeks with a release. I guarantee you, the few stores who did pre-orders and held people's money from a month or two ago on high seas, selling them for $89 a box, selling for $94 a box, I guarantee you those orders are going to get canceled. And I know using the word guarantee is like the most taboo word on the internet. The G word, the guarantee. You're going to see the next, just like Final Fantasy and all this other shit, you're going to see people go, Rudy, hey man, I like your videos, but I don't want to buy your shit. You scam everybody. And, I bought over here. I got 10 cases of high Cs. I paid $89 a box. And then those are the type of orders that are going to get canceled. Because people who literally sold people pre-orders 2 months ago, nobody had information back then. Like, what are you doing? They assumed they'd get plenty. So, there's a lot more to unpack here. But this is kind of, I may do a couple of videos this week on it, 'cause there's just a lot to unpack. I guess we need to go to the Fabled conversation, because there's a lot of hoop. Somebody put a link in the comment, or I guess you can't put links in comments. YouTube does that auto spam block. Somebody put the name of the Fabled in the set. If you know what it is, put the name or in like website I can Google or something. But yes, if it's true that we have a Fabled card that's not, like, I'm assuming it's a generic, it's like a gem, it's a resource, right? Are we sticking with that? But if this is something that's more powerful or flavorful or generates or does or some form of other, I don't know. If people are calling this the first Fabled that's more playable than any other Fabled, so that is creating another wave of chatter. And remember, all of these waves of happy, angry people, all of this marketing is good. Any marketing, any publicity, it's all positive for Flesh and Blood. The more chatter, the more sharing, the more controversy, the more videos people make, all of this is a net win for the game. It's going to spread around. It's going to cause chatter at stores. It's going to cause chatter at distributors. It's going to cause chatter on the internet. It's going to make people make clickbait videos of Flesh and Blood failing, high Cs to zero, all this dumb fucking shit from the little Temu Timmies. It's all going to help people spread the brand, spread the algorithm, and the more eyes. That's the same reason I told you guys, no, I'm not going to be selling high volumes of high Cs to anybody, period. Because the same thing I tell you all is the same thing I'm going to tell LSS, Legend Stories, from the beginning. The same thing I told James and the company over 5-6 years ago was, I could easily sell probably half of my allocation, hundreds of boxes and cases, to a single person. They could overpay me. And I could give them a brick of promos and they could privately pay me 50% over asking price. The point of doing this, no matter how much you love or hate Rudy and his hair and his absolute fucking beauty, is we need to get Flesh and Blood in front of and exposed to as many people as possible. If 1,000 patrons buy a Flesh and Blood kit, that's 1,000 people with shipments going all over the world. Because I assure you, over 10-20% of these Flesh and Blood orders are going to be international patrons like you guys. And this is another thing. I actually, you know what? I'm going to take a step further. I bet 25% of the orders this time go overseas, around the world. Canada, North America, South America, Europe, Australia, even back to Australia, New Zealand region, Asia Pacific countries, Singapore. I guarantee you. I guarantee this is going to happen. You know why? Because Flesh and Blood in some of these areas is hotter there than it is in the US. In addition, everybody knows international transactions with Rudy, you must pay with crypto. And the only crypto I accept is literally Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoin USDC. So with Bitcoin at all-time high, and even Ethereum finally moving up a little, still not doing that great, but with Bitcoin at all-time high, I'm going to get tremendous amount of patrons and people around the world that are going to be buying Flesh and Blood from me, and they're going to be paying in Bitcoin because they've probably doubled or tripled their money. So even if I sell them a case or whatever, if I sell them a whole kit, and let's say the price is $9,999, and for them it's technically like paying a third of that because they're paying in Bitcoin, they've tripled their money. So I'm thinking I'm going to have even more demand because of that situation. And now, so back to the Fabled thing. If the Fabled situation is true, what the rumors are saying, I don't know what that's going to mean. I don't know how that will impact things because it's never happened before. In Magic, in other competitive games, when you have a really expensive, a $200 Mana Crypt or something from the past, or $150 Jace the Mind Sculptor or something stupid, and you have these cards that are so expensive, they're hundreds of dollars, and you need a 3 of or 4 of, or whatever it may be in whatever game you're talking of. And, and people are complaining that that's $1,000 just for that. There's always pushback on it. But I want to remind you all, LSS makes a collectible card game. Or a trading card game, a TCG. The definition of this stuff is to be collectible. And to be trading card, to trade because you have to get cards you don't want, to trade or purchase or sell cards you don't have. And I think many times, the internet, some of the culture of this modern, bizarre world we live in, we lose sight of some of this stuff. And we forget that, cards are supposed to be expensive. They're supposed to be desirable. They're supposed to make you go, wow, holy shit, I haven't seen that. Oh my God, you have that? You know how expensive that is? That's crazy. That's the point of it. That's what creates the moments, the emotion, the rush, the dopamine hits, the adrenaline. That's what makes... why do you think people today spend thousands of dollars to open an original old Fab Welcome to Wraith Alpha box? We've done them on the channel for years. Some patrons have hit it big. Legendaries and crazy shit. Other patrons have gotten pounded. But that is part of being human and experiencing these things and having those crazy ups. That's what makes it fun. That's what gives the rush. For those of you out there, gambling degenerates, you know who you are. That's the point. And it's funny to see how much social media pushes that, it's a game. Their game piece is supposed to be cheap. This is wrong. I'm angry. Rawr. And it's very fascinating that, you see a couple people screaming online. The amount of people begging for sealed product in stores, begging distributors, and the amount of activity and the amount of excitement and the amount of money, shut up and take my money, is far outweighing the tiny, stupid Timmy voices online. I mean, sure, I'd say I would even be willing to bet, you know what, I'll be generous, up to 5% of the market is probably in that situation that's angry because cards are expensive. And I'd be willing to bet at least 70% of the market is happy. I'd be willing to bet another 20-25% just doesn't give a shit. They're going to buy whatever because they like the game. I would be willing to bet at some, pie breakdown like that. So I don't want to keep going. I could go for a long time. There's a lot of things to unpack here. But we'll make another follow-up video tomorrow or the next day as we go into the Flesh and Blood release. And then I'm trying to do all this. I'm trying to keep up the best I can, everybody, because we're in that peak season right now. The Pokemon, the Flesh and Blood. There's even the Weiss stuff going on here. I got to deal with a new One Piece release with the new OP set with patrons here in the next few days. Then, of course, I've got 7 sales in a row for Final Fantasy with the Vault. I mean, there's just so much going on right now. And even then, when things calm down and we go July, August and everything, I'm excited to do more throwback. I mean, you guys have been asking me, Rudy, besides the high seas, we know it's going to sell out. Nobody cares. What about the other stuff? Like, I've still been working on, and I finally came together. I want to build, I don't have a lot, but I want to build like 50 like high-end, like original, like throwback of like the old cold foils in like an alpha box with like the old stuff. I want to make like a really cool like high roller whale, like original, like the beginning of Flesh and Blood era. Like I want to make some really cool kits and things and do some fun stuff. And honestly, you can laugh all you want, but I even want to run a Tales of Aria sale. I haven't sold Tales of Aria, even though it's cheap, it's not worth much. I still want to run like a really cool thing. Maybe include a puzzle piece with it, put an old playmat or something, try to grab some random leftover promos and mix them up or something. I think it's fun. Because a lot of you all today, you weren't around, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. A lot of people today, you got to remember that, folks. Some of you all have been around so long, you're like, oh, God, I don't want that. Or, I don't want that. Oh, I do want that. But you got to remember the turnover and the natural attrition in the card world, it's pretty substantial. So I want to leave everybody on that, just to remind you all that. The average person stays with a hobby between 6 and like 15 months, with the average being 8 to 9 months before someone quits, moves on, sells their collection, or gets angry, or maybe they have an emotional moment and get triggered, and they're like, I'm quitting this. I see it all the time. Mostly happens with other card games. Right now, everybody quitting Pokemon because it's just all a scam. Rudy, I'm never buying Magic again because Final Fantasy collector boxes are $1,000 for a box, And it just, come on. Like, can we acknowledge something here? Hold on. Can we acknowledge something here? I want to acknowledge something. Like, it's wild to see people freaking out because LSS raised the MSRP of a Flesh and Blood box to like, what, 120s or 130s or whatever it is. So, like, people are angry because like a Flesh and Blood box online just hit like 150 to 200 a box for a whole box. Like, it's wild to see people going, oh, that should be my thumbnail. Hold on. That should be my thumbnail. Flesh and Blood hit 0. And like at the other side of the coin, I click on the next message in my email. It's like, hey, Rudy, hey man, you're going to be selling Final Fantasy collector boxes, man. Because I'm looking for some at like 700 a box. Can I buy a case of like 6 for like 4 or 5 grand? I'll pay in Bitcoin. It's wild to see like, oh, look, an email. Click. Rudy, I am very angry about Flesh and Blood's new set being 170. There were sold listings today for 180. The next email. Rudy, how many boxes of Final Fantasy can I buy for 700? And it's like, it's so crazy to see the perspectives on what's considered a ripoff and what's considered, within normal range. And it's fascinating how like Wizards has rewired people to pay these outrageous prices. And then you've got people over here like, yeah, well, my Flesh and Blood boxes, stores were quietly dumping them locally for 50 a box. And Map Online was 87. Dude, 87, they doubled. They're like 160 now. And it's like, how much is a case of Final Fantasy collectors? How much are 6 little boxes with tax? $5,000? How much is that case of Flesh and Blood? What's the last case of Flesh and Blood on eBay or TG Player? Oh, $600. So a whole case is $600? And that's for how many packs? 24 a box? So 96 packs for $600? And how many packs are in Final Fantasy Collectors? 12? So 72 packs for $5,000? It's so, and it just shows it's all human expectations and perspective. So anyways, end the video. This is too much. Sorry for the long video, everybody. Conclusion, do the best I can. Again, like I always say, to offer you guys a fair price and to try to keep it in stock for as long as possible so it doesn't blow out immediately. We're going to lower the quantity. No more 3, 4 large orders or extras. And all those days, I gotta give as many patrons a fair chance to buy. And of course, friendly reminder, like I say, I try to bring it up once a month. I am not Netflix. I am not Amazon. Everybody gets one fair chance in this world. If you're a patron, you don't have to buy anything. You can watch all the crazy behind the scenes. You can send Rudy a message and be like, Rudy, you need a haircut. Rudy, I can see why your ex was cute. Rudy, you can say whatever you want. But remember, I'm not Amazon and Netflix. When you close your account with me, that's it. You're done. You can't come back. I don't allow open and closing. I don't allow people to do that. And no, there's no exceptions. You can hate me. You can be angry for me being a scumbag or asshole, but those are the rules. I didn't have these rules in the past, and then I discovered hundreds of people had opened and closed the same accounts 5, 10, 20 times. Just, no, I need to buy this. Okay, I'm gone. I'll be back in 3 months to buy. No, I don't give a fuck. So those are the rules. And I'm telling you these rules because I know with these type of sales what we're going through, I know how busy my email is going to be, and I know how many of you guys are going to try shenanigans on me, and which means we got to do extra auditing, which means shipping will be a little slower because we're going to have to really pay attention to who and who's buying and what's going on because it happens every time we go through this. Usually it's a couple times a year. And that's all I have. I hope you guys are enjoying Flesh and Blood. I'm very proud of the company. I'm very proud of James. I think they've done an absolute phenomenal job of steering Flesh and Blood into the future. They made it through that COVID doomsday. They survived, they adjusted, they pivoted, they made changes. And, we're past 5 years of Flesh and Blood. And the company's done a fucking good job. Sure. All their decisions and things they've done now or in the past, I've got my own ideas. They've got their own ideas. Everybody has different perspectives. They do things I don't agree with. I do things they don't agree with. Doesn't change the fact that the results are they're doing a good job. The market's very happy. Things are booming for them. And based on what I'm seeing now, I told you all, if heavy hitters with Misty, then Rosetta in Hunted, and now this, they have a string. It's not, hey, look, Flesh and Blood did one good set. No. They have a string of incredible success that shows the direction and perspective of that company. And man, it's going to be wild, man. And by the way, we didn't even talk about like the golden treasure packs and the hunts and all this. We didn't even get into that in this video. Which again, there's other rumors. I'll get into that about tomorrow. There's all kinds of weird shit, and I'll address that tomorrow when you guys. I want to see what the comments are on this. Even some of you are like, Rudy, what do you think about the rumors of a second print run of High Seas without the gold packs, like a second edition? That's their way of bringing back First and Unlimited. Like the rumors and shit swirling between the Fabled, the golden packs, I can't. There's so many moving parts right now. That's why I haven't said much in the videos. But I wanted to make a long conversation today. I'll try to do a follow-up in the next 48 hours and do updates on it. Also, I was thinking about doing, like, I was going to do some cool spoiler videos for, like, the promo card and everything, but, the last set with the Hunted, I decided not to do spoiler videos of the promo card real early. I kind of, in other words, just kind of shocked, surprised this is what we have. And I don't know, I kind of feel like it has a better impact. I don't know. I'm back and forth on that. Sometimes I feel like just kind of, sharing or spoiling something too far in advance, it gets old and stale after 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I don't know. I've got weird Rudy shit where I think of in my head. But anyways, that's all today. Hope you guys enjoy it. Flesh and Blood is a fantastic competitive game. And I have no idea where it's going to be leading. I don't have inside information from the company. But I can tell you, you got to give credit's due. And yeah, this shit's going to be wild. And unlike the past, no, I do not think this is Monarch 2.0. I do not think the market's being manipulated because, well, this time around, I think most stores pre-sold their High Seas boxes at $89 and $99 a box because they were just stupid and they didn't believe. And now you're seeing what's going on, and the market's going to market. That's all I got.